Marley Bauer, and I'm at the Manses Pass Preserve today. So as we walk over here, we see that it is closed right now due to construction, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. We drove all the way here, so we will make it work today. So there's a lot of vegetation that you can see right here. I'm just gonna do my best to try to explain everything. So the first thing that I want to talk about are the three types of mangroves. This person might make this move. So there's black mangroves, red mangroves, and white mangroves. And in the black mangrove forest, which we were supposed to go to today, it goes down to about 1 feet above sea level, and it's a very saline environment. To start off with the first type of mangrove, the red mangroves are located in the lowest elevation, and therefore they're surrounded by more water. This type of mangrove uses prop roots to lift the bulk of the tree out of the water when the water level is normal and not usually high, giving the tree room to bring in oxygen. And black mangroves, the next type, develop pre-movators, which are roots that extend up to the air, bringing oxygen, much like we use in a snorkel. And then white mangroves are lenticels in the lower trunk that obtain oxygen for anacretia. Each type of mangrove has its own characteristics that help it adapt to the environment that it grows in. This includes characteristics that help provide fresh water and oxygen for plant growth. So going over a couple other things about how you can identify each mangrove. The red mangrove has a red color trunk of the root of the actual tree, so you can tell that's why and how it gets its name. And the roots reach up that make it look like it's like walking. So basically, like in the videos, it was showing like the mangrove has like a regular root and then more roots attached to it, so that's why they call it like it's like the walking tree. And then the next type, black mangrove, is the largest and tallest out of all three because of their age, higher elevation, and they're used to a cold. They're like used to being in a regular environment, but they can like have a cold. Like in the winter months, they're tolerant of the cold. The bark of the tree is dark, which gives it its name as the black mangrove, and the leaves have glands which excrete salt. So this is basically a backup system for the salt that has not been excreted to the roots. And then white mangroves, the last type of mangrove, is a higher elevation than any of the other two mangroves and can be identified by its light green leaves. And it prefers not to get a lot of salt water, so that's why it's in a higher elevation. And it has oval leaves that have glands as well that excrete salt found in the water like a filtering system. So the next thing I want to explain is the three important ecosystem functions that mangroves serve. So mangroves protect shorelines from damaging storm and hurricane winds, waves, and floods. Mangroves also help prevent erosion by stabilizing sediments with their tangled root systems. They maintain water quality and clarity, filtering pollutants and trapping sediments originating from land. So to describe three other native species that we've observed on the trail, I took some notes on some before we get here. So I watched in the video where they talked about the maritime hammock, and I learned that that was a watershed, and it collects water and filters out salt and fresh water so that the vegetation can have fresh water to survive. So I thought that was really cool to learn. And then the difference between the black mangrove forest, which is the stuff I talked about before, and the tidal swamp are that the tidal swamp is inundated every day, and the mangrove forest only gets inundated during the periods of storms in winter months. The saltwater will invade this area, so there's a lot more vegetation growing here. So some examples that he talked about in the video, which I took pictures of, some of them were a threatened plant called the Florida bay tent, and it kind of just looked like a regular green plant, and it had like little oval leaves. And another thing would be the algae on the trees. So like just like a regular tree like this, there would be like, can you show this tree? There would be like little spots of like color on it that was kind of like a white or green color, and it's called lichen. So it's a combination of fungus and algae. So that's basically like something that we would find in the mangrove forest. So that's another organism that I can describe. And then another thing I learned is whatever grows underground or on the ground surface has to survive in salt water. So I thought this was really cool. There's actually succulents at the bottom of the mangrove forest, so then you can like see how it collects water in the leaves and in their stems. So I thought that was really cool to learn about succulents because that's something that I like really like.
How's it going?
Hi. Sorry, we're here for Chloe.
I imagine. A net fishing. Or a...
Here's some mangroves. Look at all the roots.
It's coming in a big artifact.
So is this the new boardwalk then?
This is going to be new. There's more to it that way. They're going to go that way once they get this side.
This looks already brand new.
How long have they been working on this? What's it called? Probably been an ongoing thing. Probably since January.
We got a West on 310
That's been quite a bit here.
This is the red one.
That's the red one?
I think because the roots are red. Or maybe it's the black one because like that's pretty dark.
Looks pretty cool.
And that might be the white. This is red. This is the red mangrove. That's pretty. Uh-oh, it's raining. It's raining. Ooh, this is the black. This is the black mangrove. Interesting. Love this. Cannot believe we got in. It's exciting. And then he was talking about succulents being able, oh, there's a little crab. You see the crab? Little crab. And then he was talking about, oh, here's some succulents down here. Talking about succulents being able, oh, these are succulents being able to grow down here. Remember him talking about that? That was really cool. Okay, good. I got some good examples of stuff. Hi, it's Marley. I'm back again. We got led into the preserve by a ranger. So we are now in the preserve, and you can see around me there's like a bunch of water. There's a cool sign that there's like a map of everything, which is super cool. And then right over here, just because I already talked about the mangroves, I won't re-explain too much, but we learned that the red, the white, and the black are all intertwined together. So that's super cool. And obviously you can see the red, the color of the trunk. You can obviously see which one that one is. The black one is kind of deeper into there, and then the white makes it a little different because the leaves are lighter, and then the white is the ones that are up top because they don't want as much salt water. So they're the ones with the highest elevation. So it's really cool to now see those and see, you know, what he was talking about in the video. And then what we did learn were these are oysters down here. So we thought that was really awesome, like that we could actually see the oysters. We see a bunch of crabs and stuff walking around here. So just getting to see this now is like really, really awesome, really beautiful. You can see all of the different color leaves. So I know that the white mangroves, they have like a lighter green leaf, and then on the back of it, it's kind of like more yellowish. So that's what we're seeing here. And then just to extend, I already went over in the last video the functions that the mangroves serve, but just to expand upon that, like it was really cool that we saw the oysters and then like all the wildlife that kind of lives around these mangroves. So going deeper into here, I already talked about the maritime hammock, which is the watershed that collects water, and then the difference between the black mangrove forest and the tidal swamp. So talked about those two, and then I went over a threatened plant. And I took some pictures of it, but there's one right here. It's the, sorry, let me see here. It's called the Florida Bay Tint. And then the algae on the trees. I was trying to find an example of that. This is like a super black mangrove. That's really cool to see. That one's like a really big tree. That's awesome. And then I was talking about the lichen, the algae on the trees. And then another cool thing that I was talking about in the first video were the succulents that live basically like under the soil where the mangroves grow, and we can see a ton of succulents, and I got like some really good pictures of them. So here's like an example of like there's a bunch of crabs everywhere, guys. It's so awesome. And then like here's like a succulent here you see with like the leaves and then like the root growing upwards. So the succulents, they live at the bottom to collect the old water in their leaves and their stems, so that's how the mangroves help them function, which is super awesome. And then I'm going to explain at least 3 ways that the mangrove forest and the organisms support Southwest Florida. So here's a cool sign that's like the red mangrove, the white mangrove, and the black mangrove. That's really cool, showing like which one's which. And like I didn't know that they were all kind of intertwined together, so learning about that makes it a little easier because I was trying to differentiate which one was which. And the red and the black, you can definitely tell. So basically the mangrove forest and the organisms in Southwest Florida have changed from the time of the Calusa to when Joe grew up in the island until today. So in watching that video, I collected that pollution that comes down from the Caloosahatchee River harms the ecosystem, polluting it. And then the mangroves are now legal, the red mangroves are now legal to remove because they filter so much of the water. So all property that's environmentally sensitive is now preserved with the hopes to help the environment. And then it says the oyster reefs are now being put into the back bay. So oysters help filter out the water to 9 gallons of water per hour. So that's something that I showed you over there. You can see a ton of oysters everywhere. And then just describing a couple other things that I learned while watching the videos and walking along the boardwalk. Well, we talked to the park ranger that was talking about the construction who let us come back here and take our video, and he said there was like about $1 million put into this and a lot of work put into this so that people can enjoy this forest and preserve it. So that's really awesome. We saw like a bunch of trash cans being put in and stuff for like all the recyclable materials. So I thought that was really awesome, really sustainable way to do things. And looks like they're like almost done with this. But another thing I learned was that mangroves provide a home for many organisms, not only aquatic. So there's tons of like little lizards, there's snakes, there's so many things. There's even like raccoons back here, he is telling us. There's like a bunch of different, there's hogs, there's a bunch of different organisms that survive back here. And all the different organisms that are found in the mangrove area are all labeled as being Euryhaline, which is able to withstand wide variations of salinity. So it's like the salt in the water, so they're able to like live out here. So like for example, like the succulents, like I never knew that before, that they could live out here. You always just think of a succulent as something you put in a little house plant or on your back porch. So that was really cool. And that 4 natural plant communities make up the preserve. So the maritime hammock, the tidal swamp, and the black mangrove forest, and the coastal grassland. So that was really cool to learn about, and we had a really good time today. We got lucky and we got let in. So thank you for watching this video.